operating system. So dali ra. Hinay man dayong internet, di makita inyong mga dagway. Di mo load ang mga kuan. Mga tingali. Sige. Ang latest ra ang makita. Di na. So save. And then let me try to share my presentation on my screen. Is a part of chapter 1 and 2 is about the introduction to the popular operating systems that were the transition from the old operating systems to the new operating systems that we had. So we'll try to describe the operating systems that laid the groundwork for the current desktop and server operating systems. Then also identify some of the features and characteristics of the popular desktop and server operating systems. And then understand when to use certain operating systems. So in recall, or in review, an operating system is a set of basic programming instructions to computer hardware forming a layer of programming code on which most other functions of the computer are built. Can join the gun. So the kernel, we already are familiar with. This is the programming code that is the core of the operating system. It refers to the instructions written in the computer programming language. So in general, the computer also has the computer hardware. So let's skip. Okay. So let's start with the timeline of the operating systems. So way back in 1950s, there were already developed computers. So again, the problem was that by this time, there was no commercially available operating systems that were made. Meaning wala kaayo yung mga operating system nga para jud baligya for general purpose. There are already operating systems but are specific to the bigger computers, katong mga dagko nga computers like the EDVAC, EDSAC, the UNIVAC, and then there are also operating systems for like katong mga dagko jud kay nga mga computers, katong mga IBM na computers. But later on, kay anang mga panahon na IBM, kana sila maoy kana sila leading sa development of the operating system. But in general, wala pa jud siya for commercially made and available for everyone to use. In general, kana sila mga kuan lang sa mga specific to the computers nga gipang develop. Wala jud siya set of operating system for general use. Not until the Microsoft operating system in 1981 specifically. Sa 1981, so anang MS-DOS na release, which is the first of the Microsoft operating system. Anong gitawag og MS-DOS. Although nanay mga gitawag og desktop operating system, so the most successful and the most highly anticipated nga pagawas was on the MS-DOS or the what we call as the PC-DOS in 1981. So specifically, it was released on July 1, 1981. So it's the Microsoft desktop operating system known as the Microsoft DOS. So this is an operating system for the x86 and ang mga x86 variant na family na sa architecture sa computer, which was released by Microsoft and marketed by IBM PC. So MS-DOS was a rebranding of the IBM PC-DOS. Si IBM, na sila computer, pero wa sila klaro nga operating system. Matong si Bill Gates naghatag siya or nag-provide siya og operating system which was used by IBM. Dito ni sikat og sugod si Microsoft. So after the MS-DOS, there was a release of what we call as Windows 1.0, which was released in November 1985. Although wala din ha. Pero after MS-DOS na ay Windows 1.0. So kani si Windows 1.0 was the first GUI based nga operating system that was developed by Microsoft. Katong ilang gisuon katong sa Apple instead of users of computers were typing DOS commands sa Windows 1.0 naka GUI na. So nanay mouse, maka drag and drop, maka nanay icons, nanay menus. So aside from that, si Windows 1.0 is now also multi-programming. Meaning, pwede na daghan nga programs, magdungan og daghan kay maka-switch naman ka. Unlike sa previous na DOS, nga one program at a time lang yun. After which, nigawas pod si Windows 2.0 before ni Windows 3.x. So, Windows 2.0 was released in 1987. December 1987. So it's an update to the Windows 1.0 with desktop icons na nga kuyog and expanded memory. So it also has improved graphic supports compared to Windows 1.0. So after Windows 1.0 and 2.0 in 1987, girelease na pod ang Windows 3.0 in 1990. Sa Windows 3.0. So Windows 3.0, there are also sub-variants of the 3.0, like the 3.1 and so on. So Windows now has a better performance, more advanced graphics, and also sa Windows 3.x, sa Windows 3.x, naka 16 colors na pud siya. Aside from that, this also introduced the file manager and the print manager in Windows 3.x or 3.0. So after Windows 3.x, there was Windows 95 released in 1995. Manang Windows 95 So Windows 95 was the first 32-bit operating system. Okay? So offers enhanced multimedia capabilities and eliminated the 640 kilobyte memory limit. So this is more powerful. This has more powerful feature from the previous for mobile computing and integrated networking. So nagsugod na diri katong networking. Dining panahon na, Windows 95, hinahinay na pugsaka ang internet. Sa kay mga 1990s man ang internet. But here in the Philippines, dili pa kaayo, hinay-hinay pang internet. Ani nga time? So specifically, Windows 95 is August 1995. Okay? So klaro man asan, Windows 95, 1995 na release. There's also Windows, let's try to look into the additional features of Windows 95. So Windows 95 introduced the GUI now called as the desktop. Anong desktop nga atong gitawag-tawag karon, 95 din na siya nagsugod. This also introduced plug and play or the PNP, which enables the OS to automatically detect newly installed hardware. Although na siya PNP ani, the number of devices nga pwede nimong masaksak, ma-remove directly, are limited. Gamay pa. So aside from that, 95 also introduced the ActiveX and the Component Object Model or the COM. Kanang COM kanang mga naka-hardware devices na ipangsaksak nimo, there's also a separate assigned COM port Muna siya. So standardized way for objects such as programs, files, computers, printers, or hardwares to communicate with each other. Managamit sa COM. And then there's also what we call as the registry. So this is a database that stores OS information about the hardware and software configuration. Nagamit pa mo registry karon? Naka-modify pa mo sa registry? In most cases, registry tries to record everything in your computer. Naka-record din na tanan sa even your user account passwords na adi na sa registry. The settings of the hardware and the software, as well as also that's also a common target of the previous viruses. Naaman dito nakalista tanan sa registry, dito pud mo attack sa registry ang mga virus sa una. So, in addition, the registry provides OS configuration, service and device driver information, software and application parameters, hardware configuration, performance information, and desktop configuration. So, multitasking was also introduced, a task supervisor that detects tasks that appear stuck and offers option to close tasks without restarting them. Saan introduce siya og task manager. So networking functionality was extended and Internet Explorer web browser was integrated. O diri din na ni-release ang Internet Explorer, but for now wala naman kayo nagamit sa Internet Explorer. Then you have also Windows 98, which was released in 1998. So Windows 98 released specifically June 25, 1998. So this provides support basically on the two more information about your computer as well as also the internet. So dinini sa 95 manggod medyo problematic kayo ang internet. So si Windows 98 ang nag-revolutionize ana. So other improvements includes the ability to open and close programs more quickly. Sa una, mag-open ka program, paabot yung ka sa. So aside from that, Windows 98 supports DVDs and USB. So di na ng panahon na nga ni-support nag-USB. So although you need to install the driver of the USB first before using the USB. Okay? So Windows 98 was quite similar to Windows 95, but included the following changes: expanded plug-and-play support, automatic registry checks and repairs. If there are problems in the registry, automatic iyang i-solve and i-repair. Advanced proper management features, support for new hardware standards such as USB, improved cooperative multitasking for 16-bit applications, greater integration of internet and networking features, extended multimedia support, expanded support for high-speed networking, ability to perform upgrades over the internet. So, diri nagsugod sa Windows 98. Kanang pwede ka mag-download o upgrade sa update sa imuhang operating system. Okay? So aside from Windows 98, there's what we call as the Windows ME, or that is for the Millennium Edition. Okay? Kaning Millennium Edition was released kay doon naman ko tong 2000, which is a millennium. Sa matong nag-release sila of ME, the Millennium Edition. So this was developed for home computer users, implemented applications that appeal to home users like playing music, storing family photos, playing games, accessing the internet, provided better support for infrared devices. Pwede na daw infrared. Daring panahon na. Implemented enhanced PNP standard called the Universal Plug and Play or UPnP. So after Windows ME, there was also a release of the Windows NT. Although there were already some prior release of Windows NT, although nanay nag-release of Windows NT in 1993, but there was an update that was released. Umana siya Windows New Technology, still closing to year 2000. So kato si ME 2000 to siya. Year 2000 to siya. So Windows NT is a high-end operating system to be used on very powerful computers, usually mga servers. So OS kernel run in privileged mode protected it from problems created by malfunctioning programs or processes. So offered in two options or two versions. So you have Windows NT workstations pang personal use and for servers. Windows NT servers supported high-speed network connectivity and remote access over telephone lines or internet. So ningon din na had a C2 top secret security rating from the US government. And then there was Windows 2000. So still released on year 2000, February 17. So among other improvements of Windows 2000, simplifies hardware installation by adding support for a wide variety of new plug-and-play hardware. So including advanced networking and wireless products. Include na siya wireless products. USB devices and IEEE 3094 devices, including infrared. So Windows 2000 was built on the Windows NT technology with a significant rewrite on the NT kernel and ran about 30% faster than the NT. So it supports VPN or virtual private networks, supports also Active Directory. So I guess familiar na sa Active Directory in itong mag-server configuration and also includes Kerberos security that enables two parties on an open network to communicate without interception by an intruder. So Windows 2000 also has the server edition or the server version. So Microsoft developed this basic server and workstation version to be used together in a server-based network. So gipares na sa Microsoft. Na naa sila'y server, naapod sila'y nasa sila workstations. So Windows 2000 server supports up to 4 processors. So pwede na ka magbuhat og server na up to 4 processors and offers more services pang server. Handle unlimited number of users simultaneously, Active Directory management, network management, web-based management services, network-wide security management, remote network access, network-wide communication services, and high-speed network connectivity. So, application services and network printer management. Those were included in Windows 2000. So, Windows Server 2000 or Windows 2000 Server was divided into 3. So, we have Windows Server, Windows Advanced Server, and Windows 2000 Data Center. So the difference is depending on the number of computers that they supported and the number of processors that they had. So Windows 2000 Server is up to 4 processors. Windows Advanced Server is up to 8 processor servers. And Windows 2000 Data Center is targeted for large database and data manipulation services. Supports 64 gigabytes of RAM, clustering and servers were with up to 32 processors. So nanay na sa una mga nga specifications but only for server use. Sa nga na siya, server. So nowadays, after the Windows 2000, dito na ning gawas na dayon ang katong mga newer bundles such as the Windows XP. Nakagamit pa mo Windows XP, wala na. Kinsa nakagamit ang Windows XP din eh. Nakagamit? Wala nakagamit. So,
Gamit, sir.
nakagamit sa. Okay. So, Windows XP or the Windows Experience. This is a new desktop version with the core elements of Windows 2000. So for Microsoft, Windows XP become one of its best-selling products in the coming years. After year 2000, gi-release ang XP October 2001. So it was released October 2001 and it became one of the largest and best-selling operating system. So in the past, XP was both fast and stable. So you can navigate menu, taskbar, and control panel that are more intuitive. Sa unsay makita na to sa katong Windows XP, katong iyang background na ay blue, katong iyang panganod nga background sa niya, naa siya ay itong murag bukid, green nga kuan. Mamatay distinct factor sa Windows XP compared to the compared to the older operating system. So let's look into the features. So more capabilities for multimedia applications, better internet security through a built-in firewall, remote desktop, so ability to control computers over an internet connection. So nanaday siya din requires an activation code that must be obtained by contacting Microsoft to make sure that it is a valid and a not pirated software. So nag-introduce siya din ng product key, tapos kinahanglan ang imuhang pag-activate is via the internet. So lisod kung wa kay internet. Kaya dapat i-activate man siya. Pero naagya po ng gawas nga crack over the years para masulbad na nila. Anong way mga crack. So several versions were released including Windows XP Home, Professional, XP Tablet PC, Media Center, and a 62-bit version. So Windows XP Professional intended for office use, can be used as a small server for up to 10 users, can run computers using up to 2 processors. Windows XP Home is meant as the next upgrade from Windows ME and is scaled-down version of the Windows XP Professional. Both XP versions offer improved help and support documentation. And then it also has the program compatibility wizard, which allows programs written in the older operating systems to run in the newer computers. Then there's also Windows XP Tablet PC Edition. This is the OS for tablet PCs. Okay? Then you also have Windows XP Media Center Edition, which allows user to have control all the digital media with a single remote control. So let's skip the features kay mga kuanam lang nasa ginagmay nga features. Windows XP also has a 64-bit edition which runs on Intel Athenium and the AMD X64 processors. Unfortunately, since its release in October 2001, the support for Windows XP ended last 2010. Sa 10 years ra iyang tagana. But still, at 2010, pwede gyapon ka mo gamit sa Windows XP. Not until 2014 kay wala na dyan support. Say pasabot sa wala na support. So meaning if there are concerns or errors in your operating system, dili na mo tabang si Windows or si Microsoft nimo. Until April 2014 ra. Pero by 2014 daghan na kay nang nanggawas nga operating system. So aside from Windows XP, which was released in 2001, there's also Windows Server versions sa kanang Windows 2003 nga server. I guess there are still some that are using the 2003 versions. So ang pinakadool niya katong 2017 nga version sa pero murag na sila bago karon nga versions nga gi-release. Okay? Pero ang kasagaran ang gigamit 2003 o 2017. Sa except lang ang mga bago nga mga internetan karon kay mga 2017 na sila. So for the server, there are 4 versions. You have standard, enterprise, data center, and web edition. Some of the new features includes a GUI interface used in Windows XP. Ang server sa una kay dili man kayo ingana sa og kuan GUI features. Si Windows XP ang gisuon sa iyang GUI sa 2003. Faster network login authentication through Active Directory. New tools for managing server resources, ability to run 64-bit Athenium processors, remote server management through remote desktop tool, enhanced ability for users to run programs on the internet. So aside from that, it offers Windows Rights Management Services, Common Language Runtime, and Configure Your Server Wizard. Maka-configure naman mo server sa katong sa CSS ng servers. Sige, so let's skip Windows 2003 kaya daghan kay na sila sa. So aside from that, there's also what we call as Windows Vista. But before Windows Vista, naapod sila gitawag og Windows Longhorn. Wala lang officially released ang Longhorn. It was a beta version ang Longhorn. So prior to Windows Vista, naapa to Windows Longhorn. Pero si Windows Longhorn, beta version ra ang gi-release. Di beta version nila tapos daghan man kay problema ang Windows Longhorn, daghan kay reklamo. Mato nga wala na siya fully gi-release. The next release was Windows Vista. Okay, so Windows Vista na dayon, which was released initially last January 2007. Okay? 2007 na siya. Ano 2009 man na? 2007. So again, Windows Vista is 2007. So it's geared to make desktop computing more intuitive and reliable. So ang kuanan ni Vista, dako iyang icon, kaning iyang icon diri sa Windows sa ubos, kaning lingin, dako ang iyang katong symbol nga Vista. Katong iyang Windows na symbol. So geared, has more built-in security features and requires less rebooting. 1/3 faster than Windows XP and Windows 2000. New desktop presentation called as Aero. Itong mga Aero nga mga background. Authentic, energetic, reflective, and open. And then reasons for upgrading over Windows Vista compared to Windows XP. So it's greater speed, more productivity through the use of intuitive features, uniformity of the desktop, and greater security and reliability. One of the problems of Windows XP was kuansa katong dali kay siya atakihon sa virus. Bago pa kang gi-install, virus na dayon. That was one of the main problems sa Windows XP. Over the years, dali na kay siya na attack og virus. So the solution was to shift into a newer operating system. So after Windows Vista, there is now, okay, skip, kami na basa sa some features. There is now the Windows Server 2008. Napoy 2008. So 2008 was released, Windows Server 2008 was released in February 2008. So shares the same code and some same features as Windows Vista. So additional support including Active Directory, failover clustering, Hyper-V, self-healing NTFS, server core, and server manager. Okay, so let's skip some of these. After Windows Vista, nanadayon si Windows 7. So, anong 7, sir? Ika-7 na diay ni? Unsa man to atong naihap? Unsa man to atong naihap ng mga Windows? Ha? 1.0, 2.0, Windows 3, Windows 95, Windows 98, NT, XP, ME, Vista. Daghana di ay isa? Daghana? Oo. Tapos na siya Windows 7. Although this is really not the 7th version based on the counting sa kung apilo nato si MS-DOS, ika-9 gani siya sa list. But most likely ang gipang-ihap nila katulang mga officially released 3, 95, 98 sa pato ME, XP, Vista og 7. Mao na siya. Mao na ilang gi-appeal sa ilang kwentada. So Windows 7 is an enhanced version of Windows Vista and not a complete rewrite. So mamaora ni siya si Windows 7. So Windows 7 has 6 versions. So Windows 7 includes new ways to work with Windows. So it has snap, peek, and shake. So improves functionality and makes the interface more fun to use. So it also marks the debut of Windows Touch, which lets users to use touchscreen. Users touchscreen over kanang mga internet sa flip photos and so on. Na siya support for touchscreen. Diri nagsugod ni Windows 7. Okay. So it also includes Windows taskbar. The icons are larger and you can rearrange them in any order. So it also has the home group, Windows Media Center, Windows Touch, mentioned earlier. Performance improvements designed to use less memory and to run background services only when needed. So kana siya sana sa nindot nga feature kay before Windows 7 makakita jud ka nga ang memory utilization sa imong computer or hard disk utilization tag-as jud kaayo tag 80-90. But when Windows 7 was released, ang memory utilization tag kuha na lang 30%, 20% sa not unless magpadagan jud kag bugat nga application. Okay. So Windows Live Essentials, Microsoft Security Essentials. So dito po nagsugod nagka-release sa Windows 2007 or Windows 7. So it has Play to, Jump Please, Pick, Shake, and Snap. Okay. It also includes libraries. So Windows 7 libraries, a convenient way to access different folders in different locations from one central location. Napod siya gi-support nga Windows XP mode, so which allows older programs to run in Windows 7. Okay. So after Windows 7, there is now Windows 8, which was released in October 2012. So October 2012. August man din na sa libro. Okay. So might be there are pre-default or pre-release. Ani siya sa manufacturing was released on August 1 but was released for general availability on October 26, 2012. So Windows 8 introduced major changes to the operating system to improve its user experience on tablets. So the changes includes a touch-optimized Windows, the start screen, dynamically updated content on a grid of tiles. Kana makita na to sa kana inig-open mo sa Windows 8, makita imong mga apps. Integration with online services, and also it has introduced the Windows Store, kanang tindahan sa an online store for downloading and purchasing new software. So new features and functionalities in Windows 8 includes a faster startup through UEFI integration, a new lock screen, the ability to for enterprise user to create live USB versions of Windows, known as Windows to go ka nang magbuhat ka og installer sa Windows Explorer, which was renamed as the File Explorer. File history, storage spaces allows users to combine different size hard disk. The task manager has been redesigned. New security features in Windows 8. And this would be the list of the minimum hardware recommended minimum hardware requirements for Windows 8. So Windows 8 is a reimagined operating system from the chipset to the user experience. Muna na ilan ang hatagag importansya ang user nga. Nindot jud ang experience sa user and introduces a totally new interface gibago nila coming from the older operating system. So it also supports kay this time ang daghan ng mga touchscreen, it supports mainly touchscreen devices including kaning mga tablets and a full-featured PC for getting most of the things that are required for ordinary computers. So 2012, although not included in here, but there's also Windows 10 and Windows 11, which was newly released on Windows 11. Windows 10 was released in July 2015. Wala na siya dire, pero it was also released July 2015. Aside from Windows, there are also equivalent release of Unix and Mac OS. So Unix System 5 Release 4, so the Unix operating system comes in many different formats. So AT&T developed Unix but never licensed the kernel. So there are two main designs for Unix, that is for the BSD and for the System 5 Release 4, SBR4, Linux, which is an example of Unix. Okay. So Linux was created by Linus Torvalds. Si Unix manggod kay the main concern of Unix in the past was medyo costly ni siya, medyo mahal. So Linus Torvalds created his own version of Unix, a modified version, and named it as Linux. Let me try to kuan nindot yung ang kanang Unix. Kaso lang medyo mahal, baligya. So si Linus Torvalds created his own version which is similar to Unix. Gitawag niya og Linux. Doon sa iyang pangan nga Linus. Linux is short for Linux is not Unix. So again, Linux is short for Linux is not Unix. So Unix is for sale man, mahal man siya, pricey. Nindot kayong Unix for server use pero medyo mahal. Nga nag-release iyang freeware version. So being freeware an open source, Linux allows users to create their own version of Linux. Mao na dagan kay flavor ang Linux. Dagan kay lain-lain nga version, flavor ang tawag nila But they are still maintaining the core of the Linux systems. Katong kernel nga gibuhat ni Linus. Buhat siya Linux nga iyang gi-upload sa internet. Mao nang daghan kayo nag-edit sa Linux pero nagyapon ang core. Kay mao man ay requirement sa open source. Now, you maintain the operating system core, you may add additional features. Manay mga features nga nasa Unix which was also now in Linux. So let's see Unix. So aside from Mac and Linux or even Unix, naapoy mga nanggawas nga Mac nga operating system So Mac OS X is built on the Darwin Unix, which is a distribution of the BSD Unix version. So Mac OS X comes with a lot of bundles. So it was initially released in September 2000. So it's a 10th version of the Mac. Ano siyang Mac OS X, or that's the 10 version. So Mac OS X is a hardware architecture needed is dependent on the version of the OS. So meaning si Mac, mudagan lang siya sa Apple computers. Okay? So peer-to-peer networking has been a standard feature for the Mac. Mac was always meant to be a desktop operating system. Mac is known for its support in graphics, video, and sound capabilities. Mao na sa nindot ka ng Mac na sa mga ana. So Mac OS X version 10 introduced Aqua interface. So kaning mga Mac OS X was released, and the versions were via kaning mga iring nga family class like the Mac OS 10.0, which is Cheetah, Mac OS 10.1 is the Puma, 10.2 is the Jaguar, 10.3 is the Panther, kana siya. 10.4 Tiger, 10.5 is Leopard, 10.6 is Snow Leopard, 10.7 is the Lion, 10.8 is the Mountain Lion, 10.9 is the Mavericks, and 10.10 is the Yosemite. Although napanay mga bagong release ang ang Mac, pero mao to sila yung mga karaan ng mga version sa Mac. Tiger, Leopard, Snow Leopard, Lion, sumana sa andagway sa Mac OS X. So in general, that's some of the commonly used and highly relevant operating systems, or the popular operating systems in the past. So there are still some other operating systems that are released. You can look into the timeline of operating systems found in natin ngayon na siya sa Wikipedia. So with that ends our discussion for the popular operating systems. And by next week, take note that we will start with process management next Friday. So questions or clarifications? Any questions or clarifications? Questions, clarifications? Why question? Wala? Sige. So, let me try to get my attendance. Let me call everyone's attendance today. Tawag tag-attendance week, yung murad kuan. Tagan magwala. Sige. I'll stop the presentation na. So, say present lang kung na. Amuro, naanto sa Amuro sa?
Amaro present.
Apas.
Apas present, sir.
Pura. Bandolon. Berdon. Bermudez. Na Berdon? Wala Berdon? Bermudez. Wala pod. Buha.
Present, sir.
Sige. Bulante. Kaba. Na. Kaba. Paman magtingog. Natuog tingay niya eh. Kumahig.
Present, sir.
Putla.
Present, sir.
Mike, present, sir.
Din man ka. Si Kaba dito. Kitang tumamtingog. Epi.
Present, sir.
Istardo.
Stardo, present, sir.
Fernandez.
Fernandez present, sir.
Rabasa. Udines.
Gudinis present, sir.
Honjo.
Present, sir.
Abilona. Labaho.
Labaw, present, sir.
Lukmong,
Lokmang, present, sir.
Dosa,
Present, sir.
Mercado,
Mercado, present, sir.
Niera,
Present.
Umpad,
Present, sir.
Urakoy,
Present, sir.
Ibot,
Present, sir.
Yamonte,
Present, sir.
Uras,
Present, sir.
Prohimo,
Present, sir.
Rimulano, Rivera,
Present, sir.
Rosal, Suliano, Villaber. Wala. Katora, kan lagi gua. Kita may wakap tingo ganiha.
Bandolon, sir.
Andolon.
I-chat na ko, sir.
Ah. Sige. Okay, Sanyel. There was a concern sa kuansa sa logic circuits katong mga wala pa pass. So I'll be activating the assignment, the activity in logic circuits. But this will be only until 2 p.m. ha? Assignment 2. I'll try to extend until 2 p.m. today. Copy? Kinsa man to ni chat? Sige. So September cut-off date is now extended up to September 17. Makita niyo din na late pero dawato na niya. Until 2 p.m. today. Sige. If you have no more concerns, you may go now. Sige, bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.